So to me, this reading really seemed to fit with the Pride weekend. In it, we hear Jesus is telling the disciples to chill out, relax, and to coin a phrase, let go and let God. Or as Bob Marley put it, don't worry, be happy. Great sentiments and good advice for the weekend. After all, this weekend is when we are not only free to be who we truly are, but are actively encouraged to outwardly display that, to be the most colourful, the most joyful, the most fabulous versions of ourselves that we can be. And yesterday, in the parade, I think we nailed it. He then asked the disciples, if God gives such attention to the wild flowers, most of them never seen, don't you think that God will attend to you, take pride in you, do the best for you? And that kind of stuck with me. God will take pride in you. From the horse's mouth, so to speak. God takes pride in you. That led me to thinking about our message of Pride this year. We invited Giant Jesus to come and walk with us, which was pretty awesome. We decorated our car. We had lots of pictures taken. People ran out to be seen with Jesus. But we also carried signs with messages on. Now, before all this was put together, we had a talk about what message we wanted to bring to Pride this year. There were several, and in the end, we decided our main message would be, God thinks you're fabulous. I have to admit, I wasn't too sure about that. I had concerns about the phrase, how people would take it, etc. And all the usual pre-event jitters and organiser fears and nerves. But all through the parade, that simple message, that simple statement resonated with me. All sorts of people. Even kids loved it and come running up to have their photo taken with it. We kept getting stopped so people could get snapshots of the signs. And the amount of cheers it received was phenomenal. People in windows cheered when we lifted it up, and numerous people came forward and thanked us for it, as well as saying, and you're fabulous too. So that calmed me down a bit. I started to see that the message was not only catchy, but actually really needed to be said. That there were a lot of people that really needed to hear that. But the real impact of that simple message hit home in the park. When people came up to our stall, talking to us about how their mothers, fathers, family members have been telling them that they're wrong for being who they are. That God wants them to change. I guess the final straw for me was when a young man said to me, but God hates gays. That's what he had learned from going to church and exploring his spirituality whilst trying to reconcile it with his sexuality. There are people in this world who say they speak for God. They will then go on to tell you everything that is wrong with you. Your lifestyle, even your choice of clothing, the makeup you wear, your hairstyle. I truly believe that they do not speak for God. The person who truly speaks for God is the person who, when you are homeless, sat at the side of the path, feeling that life is getting a bit too much trouble, comes up to you and says, can I buy you a coffee? And then sits and talks to you for as long as you like. The person who, when you're struggling to get on and off a bus, because you have a pushchair, a pram, loads of shopping, or mobility issues, doesn't start tutting or tapping their feet, but comes up and says, can I give you a hand? And then walks with you as you move on. The person who, when you're sat there staring off into space, feeling a bit down, comes over unbidden and says, hi, are you okay? And if you're a bit non-committal and just grunt, then sits with you in silence or with conversation, depending on your need. Those are the people that speak with God's voice. Anyone that connects with others with compassion, empathy, generosity and love, they are speaking with God's voice. Those that judge, condemn, abuse, abuse and belittle people speak only from their own fear and their own darkness, and are, I believe, very far from God. But wouldn't it be great if we all spoke for God in the world? Now, we've often heard how little things have huge impacts, and a few simple acts of kindness, a few loving words, can make a huge difference in someone's life. In the reading it says, be generous, give to the poor. But that doesn't have to mean money. And the poor doesn't just mean people without money. It can mean the giving of time, a few moments out of your life to talk to someone, but most importantly, to listen to someone who might feel invisible, to actually reach out to those people that are pushed to the margins, on the fringes of our community. That is how we can speak for God in the world. So this week, this is a fairly short sermon, because it doesn't need to be any longer. I just wanted to share our message again, and emphasise that God thinks we are fabulous. And to my mind, anyone that says differently is not speaking for God.